All right, welcome everyone to the October 10th Palisades Neighborhood Association Board Meeting. I want to respectfully remind everybody that they get 2 minutes each to speak or comment. Please stay on topic and be respectful. We're gonna start out with Joe Avila is acting secretary tonight, and he's gonna take roll call. Thank you, Joe.
All right, let's just make a note of the start time. I'm going to put 7:05 for the start time, if that's okay with everybody. All right, roll call. We have Frederic present. And then John Thies is here.
Yes.
Yep. Charlie, area 2. I'm going to call your name if you could just say here, because I'm away from the actual Zoom meeting.
Right.
So if you could just
Charlie,
say
Chuck is not here, and he texted me he might be late and he might not be able to make it at all.
All right. If he comes back in, then I'll mark him. Elisa.
You're
Okay.
muted,
Jenny.
Elisa, but she is here.
Jenny's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jenny's here. Carrie.
Yes.
I think I saw you. Yep. Roger.
He won't be here.
Yep. Nancy.
Nancy Sage is not here.
Yeah, I don't see her. Meg.
I'm here.
There you are. Yep. Rob.
Here.
And Harold.
He might be here in moments. I'm working on getting him in right now.
Okay, that's cool. If I see him pop in, I'll mark him. Okay, and 1, 2, 3. So we have 7 people. So that's is that a quorum?
Yes.
7. Yes, that is more than 50% of 11. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and move on. Thank you.
Right. Okay, well, thank you, Joe. I'm going to turn the meeting over to John Thies, our treasurer.
Okay, our current balance in the Home Street Bank account is $607.48. There's not been any significant treasurer-related activities in the past month. A receipt for $14.99 has been submitted to cover the cost of sticky dots for yard signs, but the reimbursement will be paid out after additional costs have accrued. As usual, PNA residents are encouraged to donate to our neighborhood association. For information about projected expenses and how to donate, refer to the Get Involved, I Want to Donate page on palisadesneighborhood.org. So that's it for the treasurer's report.
Thank you. I believe there is no old business. Please correct me if I'm wrong or if anybody else has something. All right, moving on to new business. The announcements, I don't have anything new. Public alerts, the fire department wants to continue to encourage residents to sign up for the emergency alerts, and there's a link to that on our website. And and does anybody have any comments about that or any other new business? No. Moving on to committee reports, Chris Durkee, land use.
I got a lot tonight. 3 main topics: the Stafford project, the Lake Oswego Measure 3618, and the South Shore Fire Station. And also, I guess in Nancy's absence, I can mention, I think probably everybody knows, the state awarded the grant for Phase 2 Rosique Park, which is an enormous victory of collaboration between PNA and Parks and Rec. It was $1 million grant. We went for the whole shebang and we won. And the city's going to match it with another $1 million. At least that was their commitment previously. And so we're anxious to hear back from Kira at Parks and Rec on the schedule for when phase 2, which is the playgrounds, the picnic area. I think it's a maintenance building, some more pathways and stuff. When it's essentially the scope of work that we all wanted in the first place is when that will be able to go ahead. I'm hoping it might go ahead this fall, but I don't know if that's possible given weather. So that's great news, and that's a great victory. And I'm going to attend the Planning Commission / City Council meeting next week and make a statement on behalf of this great victory, that it was a great collaboration between the neighborhood association and the city. That's how these things should work, and give Kira a great shout out because she just did a phenomenal job. Okay, Stafford project. Just confirming, Ken Allen, the developer, has closed escrow on the site, so he now owns the site. So that puts to bed the rumors that maybe he was going to fall out of escrow. He owns it. He has applied for a second pre-app meeting with the city. That's going to happen on the 22nd. I think it's 22nd, maybe 24th. At any rate, it's going to happen this month. The scheme that he's proposing is it does not involve a zone change, and it does not involve the 4-story condominium blocks that people were so concerned about. It's all 1, 2, and 3-story townhomes and cottage clusters. It's a lower density development. It's about 54 units instead of could have been up to about 79 units. So really, if you look at the evolution of this project over the last year or so, this is really moving in a very positive direction. And Frederick, can you share that site plan or give me sharing?
You have sharing abilities. Anybody can share
Okay, let's see.
until that right has been abused. Just kidding.
Yeah, and I would love a copy of these plans so I can get them up on the post that I did earlier.
Well, I think they're on the website, aren't they? Oh, no, I guess not. Carrie would have done it. All right.
Chris, do you think Ken is happy with everything, like with the community relations, like the way the communication is going, or is he disappointed he can't proceed with what he originally planned? Like,
No, I think he's very happy. It wasn't so much a matter of happy or not on the rezone and the 44-story issue. The issue was whether he wanted to take the risk of getting denied and fighting it out with the city over 6 months, and maybe losing. So this is a less risky venture. There's no zone change. Basically, this is a by right development. This is he can go in, get planning approval, submit drawings, get building department approval, and proceed. It's a very straightforward project now. So what we're looking at, the blue buildings are townhomes, and the yellow buildings are cottage clusters. And the maximum height for the whole site is the current zoning for R15, which is 35 feet. That's the maximum height. And that means most likely that it's a 2-story building if you build a sloped roof, pitched roof like we have in town, or it might possibly be a 3-story building if you have a flat roof. And so right now, I believe, and this needs to be confirmed at the pre-app and at his community meeting on the 30th, is that this row on Stafford is 2 stories, although it could be 3-story flat roof, and that the rest of these townhomes are probably 2 and 3 stories. Cottage clusters are going to be 1 and 2 stories. So that's the plan. I think it's massing wise and density wise, I think this is a great victory for the neighborhood. And I think the big open issue now, as far as site planning goes is the massing on Stafford, this front here. And I've told Ken I'm going to push for these being 2-story at most. And he can move the 3 stories here back internally, but I think these along Stafford massing wise should only be 2. And he, let's see how I can do this. He sent some renderings. He has a new architect, by the way. Unfortunately, Gabe, who everybody met, has come down with some horrendous medical issue, which could take his life here. And so Gabe is unfortunately out of the picture. This is a new architect. And so these are samples that architect put together. So my own thinking is if we had projects like this in the upper left corner, the 2-story townhomes along Stafford, and then maybe these 3-story townhomes were back deeper in the site, and the cottages were like these 2 or 2-story cottages, I think that would be a good solution.
Could you
What I'm
move your image over just a little bit?
I'm sorry, can I?
Just shift a little bit, all our photo, like to see it.
And Chris, I'm not sure if you can see, but Rob and Frederic have their hands up.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Frederic?
Yes, thanks, Chris, for all that great news and how much you are involved in this project. I really appreciate it and that you're sharing it with us. Just a couple of comments. It looks like from the site plan that the garages need to be facing the street. They don't have a whole lot of room there. So I don't know if some of these that don't have, there's only one of them that has a garage in the front, the bottom left one, so I don't know how.
But those are the
Mm.
3 stories, so they would be behind. You wouldn't see them.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe
Not
that's
able-
the case. Okay. Yeah, they have driveways on both sides on that site plan. Anyways, it's not important. They'll figure it out. But
Everyone not able to get the site plan back up.
while you're doing
There
that,
it is.
there
There
it
it
is.
is. So these units here are accessed by off of this back alley. The units on Stafford are not accessed off Stafford.
Okay, but the view would be that you just showed would be from Stafford.
Yeah, the view would be looking east.
Okay, yeah, that makes a big difference. So are there going to be any affordable housing in this
There
project?
is. He said there would still be an affordable component. I don't know what the percentage is yet or
Okay.
what definition of affordable that will be.
Hey, Chris, sorry, I was going
Yeah.
to interrupt. That was
Go ahead.
where my comments were going, but I'll let the chair finish.
Nope, that's all I had.
So I was going to say just a little history on this. It's the first time I've seen it, but I know where it's coming from. It was zoned R15, and without a zone change, you would in the past you would only be able to build, R15 kind of like 3,000. Well, like 10,000 square foot lots or larger with single family homes. But what happened is in 2001, that's when the state implemented affordable housing. And what that meant was that cities couldn't restrict. They took away kind of that right to say, in a certain zone, you can only specify single family homes. And the idea behind that in 2000 with House Bill 2001, this was around 2019 that it was created, was that you could, have cottage clusters. You could have multi-family homes in terms of triplexes, quadplexes. The one thing that is interesting with this, the one thing that I pushed for was the cottage clusters. And I remember the planning staff pushed back on me and said, there's no place in that for Lake Oswego that, there's no land that's big enough to make like a cottage cluster. You need acres and acres, and that multiple acres like that just didn't exist in Lake Oswego. But I'm glad to see that, Ken has put that in and that it's being applied. So yeah, House Bill 2001 is what's allowing this to go forward without a zoning change. And it basically allows you to do multifamily homes in terms of duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, townhomes, and you can't restrict it based on that it's originally an R15 zone. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think there is a need for, as a lot of people are saying, some affordable housing where you can have like workforce housing. People that are working can actually afford to buy that. That's the hope. So yeah, Chris, it looks good. Really happy to see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of our objectives should be now to work with Ken to push this toward being the very, very best middle housing development it can possibly be. I would love to see this as a model middle housing, which is the townhome and cottage cluster product. I would love to see this as held up in the state as an example of how it's done well.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris. I'll just say, when I kind of advocated for cottage clusters in Lake Oswego, the example I used was the cottage cluster work that was being done in Grants Pass. And I know that might seem strange, but I thought Grants Pass did a good job with cottage clusters. And this plan seems to be very similar. It's filling kind of a similar need. But I agree. I think we could be a model here too.
Good. I'll look at that. I haven't looked at that sample. I will do that. What I would like to do, two things here. I would like to encourage everybody to come to the neighborhood meeting at the church on site on the 30th of this month. Meeting is at 7. And secondly, I would like to take the board's temperature. I don't know if this is a vote or if it needs a motion. I'd just like to get to some indication from the board whether they're pleased with the direction that this is going, or if there are still serious reservations on the board.
I'll speak first. I think this is much improved over what he's shown us before. I think it's a lot more respectful and more aesthetic than what other developers would come up with. So I applaud this effort. And that's my comment.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Sure, Chris, I'll go next. I think it's a great plan, but representing my area in Palisades, I think everybody knows the concern that they have. It's that private alley connection that's kind of in the southwest corner down there next to the open space. So I think Chris, you and I and others, talked to planning about that, and kind of their view on that is that if that private alley would extend across, it would go into the Lake Ridge practice field. And if Lake Ridge ever wanted to sell that practice field for whatever reasons, then there would be an opportunity to connect the streets, and it would be like a shortcut for the high school students to go through. And so that's what all the residents in my area 12 are concerned about, is that, a potential connectivity issue sometime in the future.
Well, I think,
but yeah, we talked to planning about this, as you know, and we said that there's no knowledge that the Lake Oswego School District is ever going to sell that. And yeah, so I think most people are okay, but that would be the concern again.
yeah, I agree. I've noted that, and I'll make sure that comes up again in the pre-app meeting to put it to bed. The way it's drawn here, it would have to go through that protected land, the north end of Pecan Creek, which I'm not sure would be possible.
Yeah, they've sorry to correct you, but they've always said it's totally trivial to do. You can go right over the top of it, and that in that area up there, it's I think it's limited protection. So I know that point's often raised that there's a protected area there, but I know planning's been very transparent with us that they said it's no problem to go over that.
Okay, Meg?
Yeah, I was just going to address the whole thing about Lake Ridge's lower field. We've been talking to this high school about possibly developing that field into a parking lot due to the issues that they have with the overflow parking. And according to Tony, is that they have no intention of doing anything with that land other than make it into a playing field. I mean, I'll never say never when it comes to the school district, but I can't imagine them ever selling that, let alone developing it for anything other than a playing field.
Jenny?
I just want to say I'm really impressed with where this has gone. I remember meeting with you at the church in the parking lot and seeing Ken pull out his laptop and sharing things. And it's been really wonderful to see the progression. And I really like seeing the visuals of the cottage and the townhomes. I think that really helps this because when you see it in these little squares, it feels very dense. And when you look at it with the images, it looks very homey and beautiful. And I know we have a lot of Palisades teachers that are driving an hour or more to get to school because they can't afford to live here. And it'd be great if our teachers and many different people who are in different professions could live near where they work. And that's also a wonderful, opportunity for sustainability. If we don't have to drive a lot, we can walk and take bikes, which I recommend all those high school students do because there's too many in cars that just live around the neighborhood. So that's my 2 cents. We should get everyone walking, biking, or taking the bus.
Rick?
Yeah, just real quick. Just want to remind everybody that this is the 6th, as I say, it's kind of like the 6th option that has come off because the first meetings, there was 4 options he had. Then he went to the one with working with the Stafford retirement thing. So this is just that 6th one. And hopefully he's getting to a point where he's going to zoom in, but just wanted to remind everybody that there could be changes again after he moves it forward. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yep, good point. Jenny?
I apologize. My hand did not go down. No more.
Anybody else? Okay, if I could move on, how do I unshare?
Just click the same button as you used to share
Yeah.
down in Zoom.
Somehow I.
Can I do anything on my end? Oh,
I just kicked you off.
That's
I
one
just
way to do it.
There you go.
That's what I need. Perfect, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
the second issue is Lake Oswego Measure 3618 on the ballot next month. And the title is Allows Road Safety Project Driveway Realignment on Specific Park Property. I think everybody's aware of this one. It allows Clackamas County to use 4/10 of an acre of Stevens Meadows to build a roundabout at Childs Road in Stafford as part of their Stafford Road Improvement Project. And it's had a long and checkered history on this project. But the reality is Clackamas County has designed this project 100%. They've got it funded, and they're in the process of buying property along Stafford to make this work. And they presented the scheme to the city at the 11th hour, to the city council at the 11th hour. And city council has been forced into putting this ballot initiative out. The city charter has to be amended to allow this. You folks all probably remember in 2021, the citizens voted for a charter amendment that protected all city parks and prohibited this exact use, putting a driveway on parkland. So this initiative is a charter amendment that allows, in this one instance, the use of parkland for a roadway. I fought with Clackamas County at several city council meetings that this is unacceptable, and for them to design a project knowing that it was precluded, the use was precluded, was irresponsible, and that they need to go back and redesign the project. Their response was the design's 100% complete. This is it, pretty much take it or leave it. And if the ballot initiative fails, which I guess it could, then Clackamas County will either pursue by eminent domain the property they need, or they may just pack up and go home, take their money, forget the Stafford Road Improvement Project and spend the money somewhere else. To me, either one of those are bad outcomes. And I think the Stafford Road Improvement Project on the whole, because of the safety that it provides, is a valid project. And so me personally, I'm going to vote in favor of this. I don't need, I'm not asking for board approval or opinions, but as the land use guy, I'm just saying that's my read of it. It's I think overall, I think we have to approve it. So Rob.
Oh, sorry, Chris. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you did a good job summarizing it. I think I share most of your opinions. You know, I don't have the whole history of how it came about. I know you and I have talked about it, and it sounds like it was kind of a surprise. But I've also talked to you know, counselors and the mayor and stuff about it too, and kind of their point was that you know, they understood that the charter amendment was an amendment that said, you know, we're not going to be against this development if there's good instances in place that you know, we should be doing development in parks, like adding parking lots to potentially the area by Stevens Meadows, or doing safety improvements like this. Then what the charter amendment and what they thought the ask was to give notice and to let the neighborhood associations and the community know that they're proposing this. And then I think that's what they were thinking was like, we'll make this a ballot measure, and the citizens have the decision then in how they vote. So that they're just sharing their kind of view. I kind of agree with you. If we can protect the park, then that's the best option. But you know, from what it sounded like on the other side of the road, it was just steep terrain and stuff, and that they didn't think that was very practical to do. And while I can't say for sure, it's just what I've heard. The opinion is that if the voters don't approve it, they're not going to do eminent domain. They're just going to leave, and they're not going to do the project. So that's what they've told me, and I believe they're telling the truth. So it'll totally be dependent on the vote. If the voters say, hey, they think this is a good thing and they approve it, they'll go forward. And if they don't, they're going to take the money and go somewhere else.
Right. Harry?
I am not as well informed on this topic as I could be, but isn't there a family involved that needed to give permission for usage in Stevens Meadows?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a land use lawyer, so I can't tell you factually. What I can tell you is that at the meetings I've attended with city council, the Stevens family has been there, including, I can't remember her name, maybe Rob knows, the woman who actually signed the deed for the last portion of Stevens Meadows. And their position was that their deed to the city of this land precluded this use, regardless of the charter amendment that the citizens voted for in 21. And that if the city violated that deed, then the land would revert to the Stevens.
Right. That's what I
So
thought.
that's their position. Now, I've talked offline with Ivan at Parks and Rec, and he's assured me that the city's lawyers have looked at it, and that's not the case. The city has the authority. Once this charter amendment is approved, that is, by the voters, the city does have the authority to use the land for this use. So which one of those is true? I frankly don't know. I don't know. I have to assume the city's viewpoint is true, otherwise they wouldn't be going down this road. But
Well, Chris, I was just going to back you up on that. As you see, in the years I've worked with Evan Boone, the city land use planning attorney, I mean, that's what he's communicated back to me too, was that and Rick could also confirm this. If there's a case where there's a deed restriction and the use is not allowed, the city would never go after that. You know, they follow the regulations. If they think that there's no deed restrictions and that it's you know, fine to go ahead, then they'll pursue it. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, that the city attorneys has looked at this pretty closely and they think it's fine. They would never purposely try to go to a legal challenge if they thought it wasn't something that was legal to do and didn't violate any type of deed restrictions or anything like that.
right. There's more information in the Clackamas County voter pamphlet on page 87. And there's a lot of information on the city's website as well, if anyone's interested. Anything else on that one? Okay, third topic, and I'm going to finish this quickly. South Shore Fire Station Task Force. The city has formed a South Shore Fire Station Task Force to evaluate the feasibility of replacing or renovating Station 212, which is on South Shore, which is the station that serves our neighborhood in Hallinan and Glenmorey and Marys Woods. And this is a big deal. It's very exciting. Carrie and I are on the task force. So we have two representatives that are involved in the leadership team and board on the task force. My purpose in bringing this up now is to let you know that this is just starting. The first meeting is on the 24th, I think, of this
Yes.
month. And there'll be 6 meetings between October and February. And so if anyone on the board or any one of your neighbors has any questions or concerns or comments that they want to make or a message they want to convey to the task force on the future of that station, please let us know. Yes, Frederic.
I was walking with a neighbor today and I was bringing her up to date with some of the neighborhood news. And she was curious, and we don't have to spend much time on this, and maybe Rob Heap knows, maybe you know. Why? Because I told her that there most likely would eventually be a bond on the measure, a bond to be voted on to pay for the fire station. And she said, well, when the city offices were rebuilt, she didn't remember a bond for that. And where did they come up with the money for that if it wasn't a bond? And why is the fire station different? Do you
Yeah.
know?
I don't, but I think it's too early to say that there would be a bond issue or for how much or on what ballot. I don't know. I've assumed that there would be a bond to pay for it, just like they have school bonds for new schools and park bonds for new parks.
Chris, I
Rob?
can add some just to my thoughts. So yeah, this is actually important for the neighborhood association. That one of the things we should be looking at is that there's an Excel spreadsheet, and Al Calabria was the chair who kind of spread it or championed this. But it was the capital improvement projects like the CIP. I can try to find that spreadsheet and send a link out to it. But this is very interesting to see because they keep all their kind of capital improvement projects with the amount of money that they're allocating towards that, what the priorities are, and what year it's going to develop. They keep it in that spreadsheet, and the public can see it. And so, like for Rasik, we could see that there was money that was allocated toward that, and that it was going to be coming in the near future. And then sometimes they'd shift it around, and we give feedback to say, why are you changing that? Why are the priorities changing? And why aren't you talking to us in the neighborhood about what we want? So if it's too large of a project where it's exceeding the funds that are available in the capital improvement projects, then my understanding is, they got to go to a bond. But if they've been planning this for some time, usually they bake it into the capital improvements project, and you can see it in the Excel list. And then it's a matter of, how do they set the priority and how do they move it around?
So I'm now on the budget committee, volunteer budget advisory committee, and I met
Excellent.
with Sean Cross this week because of this task force, and I'm sitting as the budgetary representative. And I wanted to just be clear on my expectations. So I have that. And thank you, Chris, also for the printouts you gave me. And so I will find the spreadsheet that you're referencing on the city site, and I will share it in Basecamp. But I will tell you that there is no money baked into the city's planning for this, because that was I don't know about bonds. Please help me understand if it does go to a bond measure, which we don't know at this point. We're going to explore all options. Like, what does that mean? And he was very cautious, right? It's like, I'm not sure what the decision will be. But I can tell you that there's no money baked in for this initiative. And that was my main question going in there. But I will find that and share it, that spreadsheet, Rob. Thanks for noting that because I didn't realize that that was out there. I'll
Sure.
find it.
A little background, it's the oldest fire station in town, and it's the housing portion where the firefighters live and cook their meals and do their training is not seismically up to standard, which means if in an earthquake, 212 would be likely out of commission, which means that we would not have fire and first responder service in Palisades, which is not acceptable. They did upgrade the equipment bay seismically, so I guess the fire engine would be safe, but the firefighters in their whole quarters would not be. So that's the first deficiency. The second is the bathrooms and sleeping quarters for the firefighters are designed according to the standards of the 60s and 70s, which is you have a bunch of men and they live in a dorm and a big public, big common bathroom. And that's not appropriate nowadays when you have men and women firefighter paramedics. So that part needs to be redone. So basically the station needs to be upgraded and replaced.
And I hope that I would encourage this task force to put together tours for the station so people of the community can come in and, during scheduled times and see it as well. I mean, they have a rodent problem. They have rats. I mean, additional to the things that Chris mentioned.
We do like a online tour so people who can't go can just see it themselves, like with
Yeah,
their
we could-
own camera,
we
like
could-
just keep it simple, but like,
yeah,
I think that's
Yeah.
bringing to light. Like
That's
Chris,
a
you were
great
talking about just
suggestion.
basic things like.
yeah, great
people can see
suggestion.
it.
I can figure that out.
Jenny, and everybody, if you go to any of the safety training courses that have just started on the first Saturday of every month at the fire station, they'll give you a tour. You'll see the facilities.
And the fire stations are public buildings. You can walk right up, knock on the front door, firefighter comes to the door, say, hey, can I come in and see the fire? Sure, come on in. True. I mean, it's no different than City Hall or the library or any other building.
Jenny's a busy lady. She
I
needs a
never
video.
knew it was like the library. Oh my goodness.
Well,
My
I mean-
kids, would love to go. We just,
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I had no idea. Chris, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, take your kids. It's a public building. I mean, the tour may get cut short, but yeah, it's a public building. Take them through.
Okay, thank you.
If my son is a firefighter and he works at Station 214, the one downtown. So if you ever have a problem or a need, let me know and I'll let you know when he's there. We can coordinate a tour.
Is that the one with the museum in it? Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
The one
That looks
downtown.
really
It's a
nice.
really cool station. And they have a pole too.
okay, we need to move on here, but real quickly, wait, are we done with that topic?
Yep, I'm done. Thank you.
And Chris, you don't have anything else? I don't see any hands raised. So before I move on to Carrie and communications, I quickly want to introduce Elisa Williams, who's a little hard to see on the screen here. But Elisa Williams is our new Area 5 rep, and I know, and Joe Avila is the former Area 5 rep, but he is on the call today, and he is thankfully still acting as webmaster. Harold Rust, we haven't seen him in a while. There was a miscommunication about the meetings. So for those who don't know Harold, he's there now. And Harold, you probably don't know Carrie Love, who is I'm sorry, Elisa is Area 3, Carrie
Yeah,
is
3.
Area 5. That's it.
Okay.
Just wanted to make introductions.
Well,
And
I apologize for the dark. I had to go to Lincoln City for work this week, and I'm sitting in a parking lot, holding my phone up and struggling with the version on my phone. So you probably saw me trying to adjust it, but that's why I'm in the dark, literally. So glad to be with all of you.
appreciate your efforts, really do.
I'm glad you're not driving. It looked like you were driving for a moment.
Well, I had my phone turned the safe driving thing on. So that's why I was having trouble with adjustments, like the mute, it wouldn't let me do the controls. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride.
Glad-
But no, I'm not
Thank
driving.
you.
I'm sitting in a parking lot
And you're safe.
and I'm safe. Yes.
Okay. Carrie, take it away.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the newsletter. We have been making changes to the newsletter, and I have just a couple of reports that I was going to show you guys. I'm going to stay really like high level. Joe was gracious enough to also do some website reports, which you maybe can jump in right after me, Joe, and if you want to do a summary of those, that would be great. Again, we're trying to stay really high level, but I do think that it's important to just note that, you know, we're doing a good job, and and we should continue our efforts. So let me share my screen really fast, and you're going to see a report. And thank you, Meg, for finding that link for the capital improvements page. I'm going to go and see if I can find the funded and unfunded pages of my budget packet too to share. So you should be able to see August newsletter, and mostly, you know, just focusing on this page. You know, out of 800, almost 900 recipients of our newsletter, 879, we get 613 opens and 137 clicks. What does that mean? Is we are well above what MailChimp expects from their customers, almost double actually when I was looking at it today. So 22.3% unique clicks. So if me, Carrie, who's going around like looking and making sure all the links work, like that only gets counted once instead of the 500 times I do it before I send it. So unique clicks is when someone goes in for the first time and looks. And I think we've talked about this before. I know that Joe has brought this up. I've talked about it, is we get a really high spike when as soon as that newsletter comes out. And in the CPR training that I was at with Frederic on Saturday, there was a couple there that was like, we wait and 3 o'clock on Sunday before the board meeting, we know it's coming. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's amazing. So these are opens, and then down here you can see clicks. And of course, as we get further away from the actual launch of the newsletter, it starts to dissipate. But I will say that the pet of the month in August was our best click through, everybody. So Charlie got a lot of action and was shared a lot of times. So enthusiasm for Charlie's family. Traffic and pathways always shows up, you guys, as another interested topic. I know there's an upcoming meeting for traffics and pathways downtown. I'm wondering who's going so we can make sure we get some coverage on it. Land use, again, very popular. And then we continue to all news, just getting regular amounts of clicks on that. And so that was August. I think August people are out of town a lot. I'm going to also open up September, and it's not surprising, similar numbers. So I think, there has been efforts in the past to increase our subscriptions. We are slowly doing that again, but we're not losing anyone. That's a really good sign. But you're going to see like very similar numbers here for September as well as August, and over 1,000 opens. I mean, this is really great. We're doing a really good job with our audience. So applaud for you guys over the years, really building that loyal audience that clicks through. And again, like we get the all news had a lot. So we redid our newsletter. Everybody's probably seen it. And we're really focusing that first graphic as go in and just see what the latest news is. And in September, we got lots of clicks for that. And pet of the month came up a little lower. I can't remember it right here. So I think people are reading our content, and that's amazing. And we're trying to keep it really short and easy to read and easy to digest. So that's what I have for August and September. Any questions about the newsletter in general or the numbers I shared with you?
I just
All
want
right.
to do a quick thank you to Carrie. She does so much, and she has put so much new life into the newsletter, and I'm so pleased. She's made it more fun and easier to access, and I just hats off.
Yeah, thanks. It's been, I'm telling you, people love the pet of the month and they love getting board members' profiles written. People are talking about those things. And oh, by the way, I read about, something about land use. So I think people are actually spending time with our content, which is, as former marketing professional, like that's a really big deal. So and Palisades neighborhood is not always has something interesting going on. So okay, Joe, could you jump in and do just kind of an overview on the website that kind of corresponds with this? Is that okay?
Yes, I'm next anyways on the agenda, so it's a
Great.
perfect segue. All right, so I have, let's share, that's the easiest. I'll just share the whole thing. Why not? Everyone can see everything. Oops, sorry. Give me 1 second. All right, you should see some charts if you don't see it right now.
Yes.
Yes,
see it.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so similar to the I missed the previous meeting, I apologize, but the meeting before that I presented just basic stats on what our traffic shape looks like coming into the website. I do have both August and September since I missed the previous meeting. So I have these side by side. This is our August traffic. Can see there's the usual spike we see at the beginning of the month. That's when the newsletter goes out. So no real surprises there. That's where the bulk of traffic comes from. And this is again for the month of August. Email is in second place right behind direct traffic. Again, for those of you who don't remember, direct traffic is somebody literally typing in the website or using a like a bookmark to go to the website. And then email is going to be effectively just from the newsletter, and then everything else is gravy, as they call it. Comparing this to the month of September, I can go like this, so you can see the difference. You can see the newsletter sent a little bit later in the month in September, but there's the usual spike. Again, email now, I think this is the first time I've seen this in the data that I've looked at. Email was by far and away the largest source of traffic in the month of September. So great job to the newsletter. Frankly, it's doing a great job, and I think people are really looking forward to it now. All right, so again, big kudos to Carrie. Nice work. Questions on traffic? Otherwise, I'll go to campaign performance, which will be the other chart. I have another one, but it's called user engagement. It's very similar to the traffic, so I'm not going to go through it. So for August, this is our campaign performance, and just a reminder, campaigns are any concerted effort to drive traffic to the website. So in here, we have the August newsletter. Okay, it's pretty obvious that it will always win. And there was 670 what we call events. That's basically anything that gets them to the website. So repeat, people who click the different links in the actual email, all of that counts. It's not unique. And then this is the total number of new people that came to the website as a result of the newsletter. And then Yard Signs had a respectable
They had a good showing. Look at that.
Yes, 5 new people off the Yard Signs, so that's great. So again, that QR code is really important because embedded in the QR code is a tracking piece of information that actually allows us to get this sort of visibility. Okay, so that was August. September, like landslide event for the for the newsletter here. We had some stragglers from August show up in September from the August newsletter. So you can see that popping in, and yard signs still pulling in a respectful 8 new people, pretty consistent on the yard signs. Okay. All right. So those are my reports, or my charts for my session. As far as website is concerned, I continue to slowly whittle down my task list for the board. Some training material on how to do certain changes on the website that might be more advanced than others. But I still am committed to fulfill the role all the way through the next cycle of folks. And I'm not going anywhere. So, all right. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to the next person.
I just want to iterate how very grateful we are to you, Joe. And even in the midst of this move and everything you've had to go through, it's we really do appreciate you greatly. And it's great to see how your efforts have really helped improve our communication within the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
that's fabulous.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
twofold. Carrie's done a
Yeah.
great job. Let's give her a lot of credit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
She's the conduit to the website, and then getting people engaged on the website is the other half of this. So it's great.
Wonderful.
It's good combo.
And I
Thank
wanted
you.
to mention on the signs, when I was at the CPR class at the last Saturday, I asked people how they found out about the class. And a number of them, it was through the newsletter, but one fellow said he took a picture of the sign. So he didn't use a QR code, but he took a picture. So I just want to remind everybody that it's not just the numbers of people who are actually scanning the QR code. Those signs are working, and a number of people have approached me and told me how they appreciate it. So I know not everybody is thrilled about moving it around their neighborhood, but it is making a difference. And we appreciate all the neighborhood chairs, neighborhood area reps doing that. It really is great. Okay, moving on. Carrie, you already went over the volunteer listings. Oh, no, we're gonna move that to next time. Okay, never mind. Traffic and pathway, Rob Heap, do you have any updates?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's been covered. The big improvement project is the Stafford Road, the circle that's up for the ballot measure that we were discussing earlier. And then there were a couple issues that we received for stop signs, and then some issues where people had asked, what's the process for requesting something like a stop sign to be added to their neighborhood. So directed them to the form that the city of Lake Oswego has for that. But I haven't seen anything come back from that. So I need to follow up and see, what the status is of those web requests that we made for, traffic issues. So that's still an open, and before the next meeting, I'll try to get an update on that. But other than that, I think most of it had been covered.
And there's also the sidewalk, that project on.
Oh, yeah,
Overlook.
right. Overlook, that's big, yes. Yeah.
Do we have any updates on that?
The surveys and stuff were being done in the summer. And then since then, I think it's been back into planning, but I haven't seen any recent updates. So I can take an open on that and see where things are at. I thought it was supposed to move pretty quickly. I just haven't heard anything. So I'll give an update for the next meeting for that.
Thank you. I see a couple hands are up, unless, Rob, were you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
John?
Yeah, just as noted last month, the speed reader trailer was posted on the 2600 block of South Shore. And I have posted the results of the traffic and pathways message board. The results are fairly consistent with what we saw back in July of 2022 report. So it's posted on Basecamp if anyone wants to take a look at it.
Thank you. Carrie?
The last meeting when we were talking about traffic and Rob spoke about the city's link where you could go and put complaints or comments about speeding or safety or we talked about putting that in our bottom navigation with community. Should I take that as an action item to follow up on? So we have and then write a post about it being there if people needed to utilize it?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yep, I'm done.
You're done? Meg? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Chris.
Do you know where the sidewalk is proposed to go on Treetop? Is it on the east side or the west side of Treetop?
Yeah, my assumption was it was on the east side. That's where all the surveys and stuff seem to be focusing on. And I think I may have saw a preliminary plan, so I believe it's the east side, but I can confirm that.
If the east side is the one that's closest to the high school, then that is the side.
Yeah, that's correct.
I went to the presentations.
Yeah, correct.
So all of those homeowners that think that that's their front lawn, it's actually city property that's going to be.
Well, there's a couple of different proposals and one is taking some of their property, or not some of their property, but some of that right of way. And another proposal is to put it where the cars are currently parked and not allow parking on that side of the street.
Oh,
And then a third choice, was a zigzag approach, which, some in, some out, which is horribly expensive and doesn't make sense, but that's just my opinion.
thanks.
Yeah. Meg?
So I was just going to say that we're having a meeting on the 16th at 5 o'clock with Tony Vandenberg with the school to specifically talk about the parking issues at the high school. I think I sent a note to both you, to Rob and Chris about that. It's something that's been ongoing for the last couple of almost 2 years now, actually a year now, trying to figure out better ways to deal with the overflow parking by Lake Ridge.
Is that
Thank
a
you,
public
Meg. I wasn't
meeting
aware of that.
for the whole neighborhood, Meg?
It's been pretty much just for the house, the streets that actually border on the high school.
Okay.
But anyone who's is more than welcome to attend.
Are you communicating between each other on Basecamp? Because I'm not getting any of those updates.
It's actually been Bill, I forget his last name, Bill on
Connor?
Treetop. Bill Connors has been kind of driving the communication with Tony.
Okay.
And so I've been trying to keep Rob and Chris involved.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Just once in a while, neighbors ask me about stuff and things happen. And then I'm like, I didn't hear about that. So if you guys can think about, if you, Megan, wouldn't mind doing a few updates on Basecamp, then I can see them.
Okay.
Let's see. Anything else on traffic and safety and pathways?
So I had.
Oh, sorry, Rob.
Oh, sorry, that's all I had, and I took a note of the opens, so I'll go back and I'll follow up on those.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your doing that. And the next and last topic, unless somebody has something else, and that is emergency prep. And Rick Eilers is on the call. He told me he didn't have much to report. Is that still the case, Rick?
Yeah, we were on vacation most of last month or part of last month, and just it was after the emergency prep fairs, and really nothing new has changed since then.
Thank you so much. I have, can everybody see my screen here? It should have the Palisades website. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So I'm going to move on to emergency prep related, which it was the last Saturday was the first of the safety training courses that the fire department and Palisades Neighborhood Association are coordinated to provide. They're free, they're an hour and a quarter, and we have a series of them on the first Saturday of every month for the next 6 or 7 months. When you go to the home page, you'll see that the next one coming up is Saturday, November 2nd. It's a free basic first aid. The CPR class we had last Saturday was phenomenal. There was a good number of people, like 15, which the fire, you know, they said between 15 and 30 was perfect. And everybody learned a lot. We even had two teenagers, and I spoke to both of them and they said it was really helpful, much better than what they provided at school. And I think that's for a teenager to say they weren't bored out of their minds was a good thing. If you click on the first aid class, and it'll be replaced by other classes, but there is the sign up sheet here. And when you go to the sign up sheet, you'll see all of the different classes. Next one, basic first aid, you can click on, so it gives you the dates and the items, or the topic, I should say. And this is a list that Rick Eilers and the fire chief and I worked on in terms of what would be of most interest to the Palisades neighborhood. So I hope, you know, you encourage, I would encourage all of you to go. I would encourage you to share with your neighbors. We're trying to share the information via the website. And so I think this is a phenomenal thing to support each other in our neighborhood and to increase our community's strength, I guess, for lack of a better word. That's all I have. Does
John,
anybody
I
have
have a
any
question.
questions about? Oh,
John, I have a
John,
question.
please. Yeah.
I just have a question. Is there any links on our Palisades neighborhood org to Basecamp?
No.
I don't understand the question. You want a link from the website to Basecamp?
Yeah,
Why?
so people can access Basecamp from the same site.
Well, Basecamp is an organizational tool that's just being used for board members to communicate with each other and committee coordinators. Anything that is important or that should be put on the website gets put on a website as a post. Is there anything that is not? So are you suggesting that maybe the speeding information that you just got should be on the website?
I think that
No,
would be
not
great.
necessarily. I'm just trying to consolidate information from on one website.
Do you
So you
understand?
don't have to go
it's
to a couple different places.
two different purposes.
I think the website is external, Basecamp is internal for us. But I think if you're posting stuff on Basecamp that should be on the website, we should definitely put it up there. Cause I think that's really good public information, especially about, you said that the results were the same as before, like for people to see it hasn't changed is really important.
That what hasn't changed? Jenny?
John was saying earlier that the
speeding.
results had not changed from the previous year. From
Oh, for the speeding.
the
for
speeding,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
And John keeps almost getting hit on that road, so
yeah,
we need
it
to
is
protect him.
it's an important topic, but John, I think if I understand you, what you're hoping for is to only go to Basecamp to get all your information.
No, not at all. I'm just suggesting that we have a link on this page for us to go to Basecamp, so we don't have to go to two different websites on two different pages. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Joe? Joe, you
Yes,
have, sorry.
I do. Before we wrapped up, Secretary, we do have to, we have to get a official motion to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
Well, yes, you arrived a little bit late and we can't do that this month.
Oh, okay.
meeting, Because those meeting minutes, the draft never went out for review.
Okay, I'll just note that it's not available. Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Rob?
Well, maybe just one final question, and I don't want to take up too much time here, but does anybody have any updates on the rec center? Have they heard anything? Last I heard it was supposed to open in like early 2025. Is there any changes or updates or everything pretty much the same? I'm not sure if anybody knows.
Nancy's not here.
I
Oh,
paid,
okay.
I paid my pre-membership. I'm ready for it to open.
Yeah, us too. All right, we can discuss that next meeting.
Yes, Nancy is the one who seems to know the most about that. So yeah, you could either reach out to her or we'll ask her again. We'll ask her at the next meeting. I want to thank, are there any other topics? Anything that we haven't covered?
I do have just a yes or no question. Do we have a liaison from our board to the school board? Or schools?
Jenny?
I'm not a liaison, but I'm a parent, so I've been
Okay.
watching everything going on and going to the meeting, so with the upcoming bond. And right
Yeah.
now, everything is still like, they're gonna put, if you'd like to apply, they're gonna have a bond committee to give advice to propose to the new bond. But they had a couple open houses, they did research, they spent $100,000 with a research company to gather information. And basically the conclusion is that like no school, I don't know if you know the background, but they were gonna move Lake Row to Uplands, or that didn't work, they were gonna move Palisades to Uplands. And they have heard from the community that no school wants to move and they would rather just invest in the school. So I think they have to figure out how to rebuild 2 elementary schools and maybe add on to Palisades and keep it within the money that they have to put another bond together. So, but it's
Yeah.
still, everything is moving, lots of research, lots of community surveys. And the bond won't be, to vote on the bond, to whatever they decide to propose won't happen until the next, till 2025. November
Spring
2025.
or November? Okay, so, because
There's time.
well, I mean, if the station 212 needs to be rebuilt and it does, let's just speculate it goes out for a bond. It would be disheartening to have 2 competing bonds on the ballot. So I was just curious if there was like a committee they're going to put together, for their bond.
Yep, they're accepting applications now in the next couple, I think this is the last week if you want to apply.
Thank you, Carrie, for bringing that up. And Jenny, maybe I should ask you every month if you have at school any updates.
Yeah, the LO Review just had an article too, so you can, it's just, everything is, what we should be more concerned about are those test scores for the state. We are like behind Louisiana, and a big research company locally just did a survey among Oregonians of what they thought of the results. And apparently nobody cares about education in Oregon, and no one cares about how low we are, and we haven't kept up and we're so behind. So that's to me, like, I can send you the link from the Oregonian. That to me is very concerning. I mean, obviously in Lake Oswego, we're in a bubble, but we're all impacted by education in the entire state. And we need to figure out how to mobilize as a state. And maybe that's why Joe has left. Are you in sunny California now? Are you still local?
I am in Southern California. Yes.
Yeah, we are not doing good as a state when it comes to education, and apparently no one cares. So that is the big issue.
Well, it's a good thing you're not in Louisiana after that.
Or Florida.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
Chris,
Some things to think
that's
about.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Carrie, go ahead.
quick question. I think a monthly update of the board meeting would be great. And I missed it. Was it in the spring or the fall that they were considering the bond?
The fall.
Fall. And is there a magnitude? I thought I read like 320 million or something.
No, I think it's a little less than that.
Oh,
I'll double check, but yeah, it's not, I don't think it's that high.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think they were going to try to bill it as a replacement bond versus a new bond. So they're
It's
trying
like
to
the
time
state,
it.
it's the 3rd bond out of 3 bonds.
Yeah, but then I think there's one that's retiring, and so they can say this is not going to be an increase to your taxes because it's going to be
Like, yeah.
the same amount.
Meg, you always continue to impress me. You've got all these this information.
Ran- random knowledge.
No,
Meg.
you are much more connected than you let on. And to Jenny's comment about the LO review, so I missed that, or whatever. If it's something that you think is important and community oriented, please paste it on Basecamp, and
Sure.
I will see it. We'll all be informed, and then Carrie and I talk about whether we should put it on the website, even if it's a reprint, because and of course we get, give credit and all that, but then it goes in our newsletter as a link. So yeah, everybody, let us know if there's something that our community should hear, even though it should be public information. So, all right. Anything else to discuss before we sign off? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon, I hope.
Take care, everybody.
Everyone,
Have a good
have a
night.
wonderful
Bye.
week. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.